Pagex is a visual theme builder. It gives you control all over your website, including header, footer, page layouts, post templates, and archives pages. You can even design unique post excerpts for archives using Builder Editor. And all this functionality is not limited by standard WordPress post types. You can use Pagex to design templates for pages and archives of any custom post type. Also, Pagex fully supports WooCommerce and gives you tools to create a really unique and mesmerizing store without writing a single line of code. So let's take a look at basic controls and quickly learn how to manage a website with Pagex Builder. We are going to use the theme, but it basically doesn't matter, since all themes with Pagex Builder have the same controls. When we are viewing front end, you can see Pagex Builder menu item in an admin bar. From here, we can start editing header layout, page layout, theme template of the current page type. In this case, it is a post template, and footer layout. The difference between page layout and post template is simple. Page layout is basically a page content. Each page has a unique content, but pages might share the same basic template. For example, like this blog post, it has breadcrumbs, title, author data, big featured image on the background, and content area with additional elements. And all blog posts with this theme template will share the same layout. Okay, currently we are on the main page, and we do not need any page titles or additional design, so our template for this page is pretty straightforward. It displays only page content and nothing more. We will be back to the theme templates later and check how we can create and manage them. Now let's start editing our current layout by clicking on a page layout link. You may notice that not much changed. That's because Pagex is aimed to provide a seamless experience between builder area style and actual layout. So let's check the basic structure of the layout. The layout has sections. Inside sections we have containers. Inside containers we have rows with columns and elements in them. Pagex has no limits in nesting basic elements. You can add as many sections as you need. Any section can have any number of containers with any amount of rows. And a row can have any amount of columns. What is also important is that you can add an inner row inside any column. It can help you create really complex layout, and of course, you can rearrange it as you wish simply by dragging and dropping elements. Now let's take a look at controls of basic elements like sections, containers, rows, and columns. Sections by default have the full width of the viewport. It can be set up with an absolute or fixed position. This option will be useful mostly for header layouts, but also it can be applied for custom pages with blank templates, which do not have default header or footer layouts. Next options are for the top and bottom dividers. Dividers are SVG graphics which can help you create smooth design transitions between sections. Let's open Container settings. Container has only one option which allows having a full-width container. Remember that Container still has its initial predefined CSS paddings, but they can be removed via custom design settings. Now let's check row element. You are able to set horizontal and vertical alignment for columns. Also, no gutters option can help remove initial style from the row and all child columns. Let's check how alignment works. Let's assume we have 3 columns with content. Each column has its own height. Using the vertical alignment settings, we can adjust vertical positioning of these columns. Top position, which is default, then center, and bottom. But what happens if we want to change the horizontal alignment? As you can see, nothing changed. That is because our columns take entire width of the row, so there is no space for horizontal adjustment. Okay, we will get back to this option later. And last but not least, column settings. Columns are our everything. You can control the width, order, alignment, and offset for columns. Probably the most important option in the whole builder is a column width. If you have experience with other page builders or front-end frameworks, you might be familiar with frameworks based on 12 columns grid, where the number represents the fraction of a fixed width in percentage. Pagex is fully based on Bootstrap 4, which is responsive mobile-first framework. And for columns here, we have additional options like basic and auto widths. Basic column widths makes sibling columns automatically resize around, and column with auto widths will inherit the widths of inner content. So for example, if you set up the column widths at a fraction of 3/12, you will see that other columns resized their widths and took all left spaces. It happened because these columns have basic widths. Let's set up fixed widths for all our 3 columns. Now we have empty space in our row. And finally, we can check how horizontal alignment works in row settings. We can align columns at the left, center, or right side of the row, and also we can align columns around or between each other. Great, now let's come back to columns. If you are not familiar with mobile-first frameworks, it's basically a strategy in which we optimize style for mobile devices first, and then scale up components as necessary. If the current option can be set responsively, you will see the small button with icon of the device. The default means that option will be applied to all devices. The same story with mobile. There is no difference when you add a style for a default or a mobile option. It will be applied across all devices, but if you click on the mobile link, you will be able to preview your layout for mobile devices. Clicking on different devices, you are changing the option input for the style of the current media query. Also, you can change it via the main settings menu, like that. So let's create a full width column for mobile devices. Then set 50% width for tablets. We don't have to add a setting for each responsive option, since the greater media query will inherit style from the smaller ones. And then let's add auto width columns for desktops. Now our column widths will be changing responsively according to device viewport. By the way, speaking of the main menu settings, when you design a complex layout, you may face the issue when an element is too small and some control buttons are hidden under other controls, like this one for example. Column controls are under Section Set Controls. You may click Hide Options button to access the column controls and hide column options if they overlay a custom element. In some cases, you've got a really small element which you want to test for hover effect, or you need to click on a small button to open a modal window, but control options are overlaying the entire element. In this case, you can hide control buttons to access it. And then, show options again to continue designing layout. When you open Element Settings, you are viewing responsive options for mobile devices, since it's a default one and it's set to 12, which is 100%. But as you can see, our column doesn't have 100% width. It has auto width, since we set auto width option for desktop devices and our current viewport is matching desktop media query. So when you see that responsive option doesn't match the style of the element you're editing, you can assume that it has a different responsive option, and the fastest way to find out to which device what style was added is to show all responsive options at the same time, like that. And if we want, we can manage option right from here. Great, let's move on. The next is the order option. It's a very useful feature when you need to change the visual order of column depending on the device. Let's say you wish to make the second column first, but only for desktops, and for mobile and tablet devices keep initial order. Let's switch our responsive setting to desktop and set the order to the number 2 for the first column. Then select the second column and set order to number 1. At last, we need to set order to our third column, so it would keep its initial order. Now these columns are going to change its order for desktops, but remain original order for all other devices with smaller viewpoint widths. Self-alignment option lets you control vertical alignment in a row, specifically for current column. It might be useful when all columns in a row are aligned to the top, but you wish to style alignment for one column differently. Offsetting option can help you move a column in all directions. Know that column will be moved only if there is an empty space in a row. Currently, all our columns stick to the left side, but what if we want the third column stick to the right side of the row? We simply select Offset Left. If we select, for example, left and right offset, the column will be centered in empty space of the row. Columns with offset are pushing each other, so if you need to move 2 columns to the end of the row, you apply offset only to our second column. So let's remove style from the third column and add it to our second. Now 2 columns will be aligned to the right side of the row, and you can control this option responsively by setting different offsets for different devices. The next available option is the sticky position. It can make a column stick inside a row vertically while scrolling. It might be required for some design cases. Okay, we've just covered main settings for all 4 basic elements. You can add any custom elements simply by clicking on the plus icon in the column control buttons. Each element has unique main settings, which you can change the way you want it with instant live preview, and as you may have already noticed, for all elements in Pagex, there are 2 additional tabs, Design and Advanced. In design settings, you can control things like margin paddings, widths, heights, and so on. But for the good responsive design, you need to hide and display elements based on the device width. An option Display can help you to do so. Let's say we want to hide the element for mobiles but show it for tablets and desktops. To make it happen, select Display None for mobiles and Display Block for tablets. As you remember, we do not need to set up option for bigger media query widths, since it will be inherited from smaller ones. Now our element will be visible on tablets and desktops but hidden on mobiles. And since every element has a Design tab option, you can control visibility and basic style for sections, rows, or any custom element. Same story with Advanced tab. You can set entrance animation for an entire section or for a specific button or column. So no limits here. Also, you can make the entire element behave like a parallax object, and it will be smoothly moving based on current scroll position. And of course, you can set some basic CSS attributes like class ID and add your custom CSS specifically for the current element. Then we have the option to hide and display elements based on current user login status. For example, you might want to display a login menu only for not logged in users and My Account link and Logout link for users who've already logged in. Great, we've just covered all standard element settings, and when you're done editing your layout, hit the Save button. Let's check main builder settings and how they can help us build website more efficiently. To access main settings, click on Pagex Builder menu item. In Basic Options tab, you determine post types to which Pagex Builder editor will be applied. Then you set default layouts for header and footer, and finally theme templates. Theme templates are applied according to a page type. If it's a single page, then we need to have a single type template with post type as page. Let's check. Open Theme Templates and find Single Page Template. As you can see, our template for single pages has only title, breadcrumbs, and content. You can start editing template right from admin area using Backend Builder or click View Template link to access Frontend Builder editor, or as the third option, you can open any single page and from admin top bar start editing theme template. You edit templates the same way you edit layouts, except for templates we apply theme template elements. All created single templates will be available in page attributes. So, for example, for the main page, we apply different template since the default one has breadcrumbs and additional design, which we do not need. And for different post types, you can apply different templates specifically for the chosen post or number of posts. For instance, you have a product which you want to promote and make a special presentation for. So you can create such a specific design and then apply it to this product without changing other products on your store. Let's go back to the theme templates list. So follow this logic, we can find or create a template for any page type. For example, for our blog we are using Post Archive template. The main difference between a single type and archive type templates is the main element. For single, it will be an element called post content, and for archive, it's a posts loop. Element posts loop displays previews or excerpts for archives. You are able to control what and how it will be displayed via excerpt template builder. And the same story here. For different post type, we have different excerpts. Let's check Post Excerpt template. For excerpt, we can use only Backend Builder, but we have a live preview for any of our changes. So if we wish to change the style for post title, we simply start editing post title element. We can add or remove any element and make preview display date, categories, tags, or any custom metadata. As an example, for products we have additional elements like add to cart, product data, sale label, and so on. So you are free to design your post preview the way you want it to be. Now let's go back to the main settings. As you can see, we are able to set our theme templates for all types of pages, and also if custom post types are presented, we can determine templates for them as well. Let's switch to the Design tab. Here we can choose some basic design options for the whole website, like the style of typography, main colors, buttons, and such like. In APIs tab, you can set up your API keys for some elements which can require it for proper functionality. And in Advanced tab, you can activate Common Soon mode simply by checking an option. If you have multilingual plugins like WPML, you need to add additional support for this plugin, so your content can be easily translated via plugin forms. Also, you can display privacy regulation notice about cookies and other related things simply by checking this option. And basically, these are all main settings for a Pagex builder. Now you can start creating your new website, having completely full control over every aspect of your content. Thanks for watching.